few years ago, we celebrated the Oklahoma Centennial, 100 years of statehood, and I had written a work for that for band called the Oklahoma Centennial Suite for Band, as a matter of fact, in 5 movements. But then I thought to write a prequel to it, which was about Oklahoma before statehood, and I called it Prairie Suite. Along with that suite, one of my colleagues at the university wrote a narrative. And the narrative has always really impressed me, and so whenever the suite is performed, I like to read the narrative. If you're a native Oklahoman or have lived here like I have for some 1984, that's at 28 years, then I think you can appreciate the words that my colleague wrote. This is by Dr. Linda Reese, and it's called the Prairie Suite Narrative. When the last bright rays of the daylight spread across the prairie of Oklahoma Territory, the colors of the land shone with intensity. The green of the corn stalks rose high along the hillside. The golden wheat waved in the gentle wind, and the river water sparkled a prism of colors upward toward the pale blue sky. There was a barely audible chorus of amen as men and women put away their tools and sat down to rest at the end of the day, and to watch their children play and laugh and sing their way around the yard. These were the people who had come into this land in 2s and 3s and 10s from all over the United States. They took one look and called it God's country, a place made for them, a place to dream big. Dream they did, against the sore muscles and calloused hands of the hard work to break the soil. In the midst of all the contrariness of life, in the wagon first, then the tent, then the dugout, and finally in the snug sturdiness of the sod house. When the drought shriveled their crops, or the insects devoured them, or the river washed them out, they started over. Now it was time to celebrate. Change your shirt and put on your best bonnet. Neighbors from all over the country came in wagons loaded with food, kinfolks, and fiddles. A Homestead Hoedown was the way Territory people said thank you. These newcomers to the soil of the Oklahoma Territory joined the peoples of the 5 nations: Chickasaw, Choctaw, Cherokee, Seminole, and Creek. Oklahoma pioneers who came against their will. Uprooted from their ancestral homes in the southeastern United States, they traveled by foot and by boat thousands of miles to reach this distant place. There were many trails of tears as the people suffered through cold, hunger, disease, and heartache. They watched their elders and their children die, and still they held on to each other and the hope of peace and freedom. They first encountered the beauty and possibility of this untamed land. Homes, fields abundant with crops, large livestock herds, and respected schools grew through the diligence and devoted labor. This was a place made for them, and a place to dream big again. Sometimes rough in their manner, but always ready to face new challenges, the men and women of the Oklahoma Territory never failed to confront the trials and injustices of life. They stood proud, prepared to meet the demands of the future. Boomers and Sooners and Indian nations of the Oklahoma Territory joined together and created a state like no other. Big enough to include all kinds of gamblers, rich enough to invite all kinds of risk takers, experienced enough to provide a set of values worth living by. Born at the beginning of the 20th century, Oklahoma embodied the story of the whole nation. The state was to become an engine of democracy where every man and woman had a chance to prove their worth and fulfill their dreams. If you had a hard time tapping your foot to that last piece, let me give you a hint of how it works. There are 3 beats in every measure. The only thing is the 3 beats aren't equal. There's 2 short beats followed by a long beat. And then the next measure, there's 1 long beat followed by 2 short beats. So it's really not a song you can tap your foot to.